Well, hello, everyone. It's John Lockland here. I'm the director of FVD International, Forum for Democracy International, speaking to you from Paris this week. Delighted to welcome my co-host, Peter Lavelle from Moscow, Jeremy Nell from South Africa, and our two main guests to talk about Syria this week, Mother Agnes Mariam of the Cross, the Mother Superior founder and Mother Superior of the Monastery of St. James the Mutilated in Qara, which I believe is about 80 miles from Damascus, and Kevork Almassian, who's been on the forum once or twice already, and who's mainly known, I think, for his videos called Syriana. That's right, isn't it, Kevork?
It's Syrian analysis.
Yeah, that's it. Syrian analysis. Many years ago, in a previous job I had, which finished 7 years ago, I had, by that stage, worked a lot with Mother Agnes. Mother Agnes and I had organized a number of events at the United Nations in Geneva. We went there 3 or 4 times, if I remember, Mother Agnes. And those were, of all the things I did, I think, in that previous job, I think the events we did on Syria were the things I was proudest of, because, of course, there was disinformation in many other domains, and in virtue of the work I did, a lot of it had to do with European affairs, East-West relations, and so on. But the Syria thing was something that I was very proud to have done with you. And of course, also, it was a happy time in that sense, because from 2015 onwards, the tide seemed to be turning in Syria. And yet here we are now, 10 years after that, 2025, and everything seems to have gone back to the horrific days of 2011. Mother Agnes, you're in Syria at the moment. You're near Damascus. You've just come back, I understand, from the coastal areas where we've all seen these horrific videos of massacres. What can you tell us?
A lot have been said. Yesterday, we were bringing from northeastern Syria a convoy of humanitarian aid from the Kurdish autonomous area to the Alawite region. Thanks to the Lord, it was okay. No, only 2 problems. We were accused to be bringing weapons from the Kurds to the Alawite, and I asked to be checked, and we were checked, and of course they didn't find anything. And second, disinformation came from Lebanon. I don't know why in Lebanon they are so much interested in what is happening in Syria in the good sense. So they said that Mr. Joulani had robbed the whole convoy to bring it to Idlib, while he gave his permit to the Kurds, because, you know, since few days, there have been an agreement signed under a U.S. custody, where both sides they proclaim that Syria is one, which is, let us say, something good in the chaos where we are living. Now we have to wait to see where this agreement will lead and how it will be applied. Now, concerning the coastal area, I can tell you from inside the statistic, that until today, 20,000 persons by name are they are reported disappeared. Understand? 20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tolls until today might be around 30 to 40,000.
The number of people killed or wounded or disappeared?
Slaughtered. Disappeared 20,000. What is happening is something unusual.
You're saying there might be a death toll of 30 or 40,000?
Yeah. Because, you know, the statistics are ongoing. The slaughters, the genocide have been happening everywhere in this region, from the north western side northern Latakia, eastern Latakia, to northern and eastern Tartus province. Some people, they didn't even come out from their region. They are totally in terror somewhere in the forest.
Yeah.
Yesterday, in the Jabli region, Ras Al Ain mainly, and Beit Yashud, going to Hama province, they told me that during 2 weeks, they had to sleep every night in the forest to hide. And even yesterday, gangs would come and would enter like this, would drop, and would also tell them that we will come back and this time we will slaughter you. So, and it is facing the security forces, you see.
The security forces are committing these atrocities. Is that what you're saying?
No, they are watching and they are, let us say, helpless. Yesterday, but in other places, I have had the testimony of the locals, and they say that the security forces were the ones who were, perpetrating those unlawful acts.
Well, can you explain who the security forces are? I mean, this is HTS or these local surrogates for, I don't even know what word, for the people that took over from Assad. I mean, what do you mean by security forces? And if they're observing, then they're culpable. There's no difference between pulling the trigger and watching someone pull the trigger.
I agree. We call them in Arabic al-amn al-am. It means the general security. General security means they are linked to the Ministry of Interior, while the army is linked to the Ministry of Defense. Now, to be very clear, when this coup occurred, it was led by the HTS.
Yeah.
It was led artificially by the HTS because normally the groups who fought were from what we call the National Army, that are secular groups from the Free Syrian Army. Those fought. They made the fight and they gained the victory. Okay, in the north, coming from Idlib to Damascus, and coming from the south to Damascus were the southern battalions led by Ahmad al-Audi. Okay, now the palm went to HTS because of an international consensus. When Mr. Julani, wore his tightrope, and he became Ahmad al-Shara, he made this social transformation.
Yeah.
He became a kind of non-elect president de facto. And following the plan, because there was a plan, following the plan, he had to establish or create a cabinet. To the general surprise of everybody, I am very linked to the Free Syrian Army. I am very linked because of my work of reconciliation. So among, the fighters of the Free Syrian Army, big surprise, because this cabinet, this ministry was one color, monochrome. From HTS, everybody is HTS. Second, also the general security forces are HTS. It means we are today under HTS. Some small factions maybe you have followed this on the news. Mr. Shara, he held a meeting in the palace with most of the factions, most of them. And we say in Arabic mubaya, so everybody would say, we accept you as our leader. So some of those, not all, the big ones, no, but some of those, they agreed to join the HTS. So when we pass, I have a security escort, and the security escort is from a secular part of this compound. So they ask, I want to know, when we pass by the general security forces, we ask them from which faction you are. They are small faction, nobody knows, and they are 100% from a Salafist background. You see what?
It sounds like to me, if I could interrupt here, I mean, I guess Kevork, if I can ask you, I guess there are no more citizens, they're just factions, which factions you're a part of. I mean, it sounds like you have to pick a side, or that other side will pick on you.
Yeah, today they are trying to build the Syrian new army and Syrian new security forces. But it is not homogeneous, okay? It's not. So when you look at a person, when you look at one of those elements, you can ask him, because they are not now integrated. They are, making a duty, maybe receiving no salary until today, since 3 months, no salary until today, but they are promised to be given a salary. In all cases, you can define, you can ask from which faction you are, and they will answer you. But most of them are from the HTS, you see, or factions that are homogeneous with HTS. Okay.
So that sounds like the entire security apparatus, or at least the Interior Ministry part, has been completely purged then. Is that your understanding as well, Kevork?
Yeah, everybody went. Excuse me, I didn't hear.
Go ahead. No worries. It seems that there is now what Jolani is basically doing. He is inviting the other factions also to join HTS, and the salaries have stopped to the other factions. So that they would
you use the word invite. I mean, is coercion part of the invitation?
At the beginning, it's an invitation, and then if it's not voluntary, because they are stopping the salaries until you join HTS. So basically what happens is, even if there are less radical groups in the country, by joining HTS, they will pass through a certain training, indoctrination, and acceptance of the codes and the values of HTS, right? So they are outnumbered. I think HTS is the strongest force. However, we have the element of the foreign fighters in HTS. The estimates are around 30%. However, they are, in my opinion, the strongest and the most capable force. And they are the most radicalized ones. And they're not Syrians at the end of the day. I mean, even if you consider it, if there is someone in HTS who has some care about the Syrian people, he might not commit such atrocities. But if he is from Xinjiang or from Uzbekistan, they have received they're receiving their citizenship and also positions in the Syrian army. And we have seen multiple times these Uyghurs, for example, in Latakia, they're passing through some of the towns, and they're recording basically, and they're asking the people to call the Shahada or say God is great in Arabic, otherwise they would shoot you. So all these things are happening in the country, but all in all, as Mother Agnes has explained, I think there is a consensus from different powers, including the EU and even tacitly the US in this case, to put HTS on the top of this hierarchy that they are building, the deep state that they are establishing in the country. So Jolani is their man, definitely. But at the end of the day, there is going to be a conflict of interest, and it is already happening. So Israel's Israel and Turkey agreed, like they coordinated for the regime change in December. But for Turkey, that was the end goal. The end goal was removal of Assad. Turkey extends its influence over Syria, but that wasn't the end goal for Israel. That was only a stage that precedes other phases in the conflict, in the Syrian conflict. So for Israel, of course, someone like Jolani is beneficial because he's radicalized, and he's radical, and he will cause these social problems in the country and ethnic and religious, let's say, clashes in the country. And this serves, of course, Israel, because now Israel presents itself as the savior of the minorities. Now, if you go to the coastal cities, and I'm now talking with, of course, friends and family here in Europe who have families there in Syria, and also with my friends and family in Latakia, Tartus, Jable, I think they are in a condition that they would accept anyone to come and stop the killing. So they created this psychological condition in the country that whoever comes, even if this party was an enemy, let's say, for Syria, they would accept it for the sake of survival. So I think this is what they wanted to reach to Syria, especially among the Alawites, who were the biggest, let's say, part. They had a big percentage of Alawites were also in the Syrian army, and they were also anti-Israel for a long time in the past decades. Now this is shifting. This mood in the country is shifting, and people just looking for, like, I'm talking to people. They're telling me, like, just for the killing to stop, and then I will leave the country. Like,
but
we want to leave the country.
Kevork, you say Israel is going to, they want Israel to protect them, but Israel is not on anywhere near the coastal area, as I understand, of Syria.
Yes, Israel will definitely have a bigger role in the south, in Daraa, Ponetira, and also with the Druze in Sweda. In the east, for example, if you follow also the Russian press, it says that there is a cooperation between Israel and Russia in this case for the coast. Because, as you mentioned, Israel doesn't have a geographical connectivity with the coast. And Russia and Israel share the interest of minimizing the Turkish leverage and influence in Syria. So there is a mutual ground between Moscow and Tel Aviv in this case.
Mother Agnes, you when these massacres happened, what is it now, 2 weeks ago, you sent around to me, and I'm sure to others, videos and pictures. Of course, we'd seen them also elsewhere, but you obviously confirmed the authenticity of these videos. Was there what was the motive for these massacres? I mean, presumably terrorism like this always has some sort of political motive. Was there some kind of uprising? I heard you in one interview referring to an uprising in Latakia. Was this a beginning of a counterattack by, let's call them pro-Assad forces, or at least by Alawites? Or were the massacres simply an act of terror to preemptively to deal with this population? How do you understand it, Mother?
And if I could add to that, because and I think it's very important, is I keep coming across in Western media pro-Assad forces in Syria. Can you address? Is that a fiction? Is that something that's just created? Because it doesn't sound right to me. I mean, it makes it sound like these are the last remnants of the Assad regime fighting back. That's the narrative that is being presented to Western audiences.
What I said before was not accurate. After what I received from further information, I will try to simplify it. Okay. First of all, we have to keep in mind that during the 3 months of the Jolani era here in Syria, there have been a way of acting with the Alawite that was premeditated. It means humiliate them and make their everyday life so dire that they will revolt. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Really, humiliation, what all kind of
firing them from their jobs.
Yeah.
Yes,
And yeah, of course, they were without jobs. They were eliminated on a discriminatory basis, ethnical and religious. So, for example, in Banyas province, 165,000 employees were jobless. Moreover, they stopped electricity and water, maybe electricity 1 hour per day. And what is worse, the water for agriculture, they had like a small dam. They just opened it and put it.
Okay, it looks like our guest is frozen. Kevork, can you take it over from here?
Hang on, Mother Agnes,
okay,
are you back?
We got you back. We got you back. You're back.
Okay, yes. So all this culminated in an incident. I think it is called the Dahdouh or something like this, somewhere in Latakia, where the security forces, they came. I don't know all the details, but there were 12 people that were killed before the mass. So, yeah, so they were killed from the security forces. So the people, spontaneously, they screamed their anger, their fear. They made a kind of demonstration,
Yeah.
This very day, the HTS killed 70 people. The second day, it was like an uprising. The second day. Now, the uprising was done through a commandment head by someone called Ftayha. The Ftayha, everybody knows him.
Yes.
It is a public figure. So he appeared on television with a mask. And people, they told me, if it is him, why should he wear a mask? Yes. But Ftayha is not here.
It's not in Syria.
No, so now everybody says it was a hoax.
Yes.
And the uprising, for example, they said those people, the insurgents, they killed, they tortured, they really desecrated the poor soldier of HTS. Without real fact findings, now people, they say it was a hoax. Why? Because everywhere I went, and without saying that it is an inquiry, just letting people speak the natural way, nobody said that there were combats anywhere. Yes. Nobody. Yes. Because all people, children, they would testify. And we have lived a civil war in Lebanon. Everyone knows what is happening. Less 1 kilometer to 10 kilometers around. Everybody knows. It is the Arabic phone, So no Arabic phone concerning this uprising. Okay. In all cases, there was an uprising, and because of this uprising, the Mr. Joulani, he said now there is a counter-offensive. He made an exemplar discourse, like a rally, to rally everybody. He was a saint in this discourse. It is a discourse really worth of the United Nations. We are one people, we love our one others, we don't want to go back to the past, they will not break our unity, we have to take care of even our enemies, we have to show compassion toward everybody. If we have prisoners, please follow the standard. It was a saint who was talking. But on the same moment, in Idlib, the imams, the imams in the mosque, they were shouting, let us go to the jihad.
Yes.
Not only this, they were describing in which way the people should apply the jihad. You cut the guts, you make them feel we want the blood, in the most cruel way. Okay, and all this they don't care by recording it. Okay, so I was told that hundreds and thousands and dozens of thousands, they just went out and they went on their cars with their weapons or their knives, and they invaded from Idlib. They came from Sahel al-Ghar, and they invaded the Alawite villages, robbing, killing, massacring. I don't care about this. The first uprising, I say, okay, it was legal. The second, it was a kind of popular revenge. Even I will not stop. I will not stop on it. I will not carry my message, based on this. But, and I am saying this everywhere, parallel to all this, there were professional factions from the Muhajirin. The Muhajirin are what Kevork said about the foreigner, fighters that are, those people are certainly hybrid. They are not real. It's not an army. It's not even mercenary. They are hybrid. They teach them the horror. They know what is horror. Okay.
Yes.
So they were unleashed in a methodic way, and I have my proofs, my personal proof. I saw it, and I will tell you. So they were methodically and in parallel to those two phenomenon or two events, they were unleashed to the residential areas, please. Residential areas out of combats. There were no combats. They entered, and I can show photo I took. It was prepared. How? With a sign. The Alawite places, the Alawite stores were signaled.
Yes.
Like the Easter of the Jewish people.
Yeah.
We entered in Banyas, and in the main road, the main street, stores were burned and totally, emptied. But nearby, you had stores that were intact, and on them you had an X. So it is premeditated. It is, it was prepared.
Yes. I just want to say, Peter, something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where is this going? Because from what we've heard is that what was premeditated was on part of the security forces here, and this sounds like a Nakba. I mean, is it? Yes. What is the goal here? I mean, obviously people are living in fear. Is that enough, or is it elimination is the eventual goal? Because we know that HTS, they want to have they're developing a new constitution. It'll take about 5 years. Is that the 5 years they need to get rid of who they don't need?
Kevork, go ahead.
Just following up to what Mother Agnes was saying, this could be what happened in the coastal cities could be entirely a theater, because this guy Miftah Maqdeda, that they say that he led this uprising, he doesn't even live in Syria. And I know this information, and we cannot really speak much about this case, but this person's face is so famous in the discourse of the Syrian war. For 14 years, he has been posting reels, shorts, TikToks, Instagrams, and everything. his face is so known to everyone that he doesn't have to even put a mask on his face. But when you see these videos and also the sectarian language they're using in this video, this also triggers the other side, let's say the Sunnis in this case, to come and take revenge. So this could be entirely a theater that it never happened. And this was manufactured in order to unleash this terroristic attack against the religious and ethnic minorities on the coastal cities, like a justification for it, right? Secondly, the Assad remnants. This is important. Of course, there are many former Syrian army soldiers still live in these coastal cities. Is there loyalty to Assad? That's the big question mark, right? If you ask any Alawite today in the coastal cities about Assad, if Assad returns tomorrow, they're the ones who are going to kill him if he returns from Moscow. They're the ones who believe that he abandoned the people and went and left to Moscow. They believe that he's a traitor. This is what they are telling me on a daily basis. Ordinary people, some of which were conscripts in the Syrian army, right? And Assad is living a lavish life in Moscow. And everybody should know that he has no role or influence over the events in Syria at all. So let's put this aside. Now, what's the goal of going after the Alawites and the Christians in the coast? This is a Turkish-Qatari attack to begin with. This was an attack in order to teach them a lesson so that in the future they don't even think of participating in the political and military life in Syria. And this has been ongoing under the French mandate. The Alawites had some better treatment, let's say, than the Sunnis. And then when Syria gained its independence, nobody wanted to join the military back then. So they made it a socialist army. They gave incentives for the people to join the military, healthcare, education, rice, bread, etc. So the poor people joined the military. And most of the poor people were from the Alawites, the Christians, the Jews back then, into the military. And this led because the bourgeoisie didn't want to join the military and fight. And most of these bourgeoisie from Aleppo, Damascus, and Homs, who used to have the farms and the businesses, etc., they were from the Sunni class. So they didn't join the army. And back then they called the Syrian army the army of the sandals, because the poor people who used to wear sandals on their feet, they joined the army. And this is still an extension for after 80 years, it is ongoing nowadays. So what they are trying to do here with this attack are two goals. One is to tell them it is forbidden for the Alawites to be part in the political life again in the next decades. If they think of threatening the authority, this is going to be the result. And the second goal is for every component in the Syrian society to start thinking narrow, to start thinking and identifying themselves according to their sub-identities. I went to a demonstration here. I was shocked. For the first time, I go to a Syrian demonstration, which I go for now over 9 years here in Germany. We all raised the Syrian flag and we all spoke as Syrians. Now everybody is just, when they introduce me to them, they're like, I'm your brother X, an Alawite. I'm your brother Y, Christian, an Armenian. Everybody is now identifying himself and herself with their sub-identity. And I think this already created these vertical divisions in the country, and everybody is living in a canton, do not want to interact with each other. So this is the pre-phase before the partition of Syria. In the best case scenario, I believe Syria will be federalized. And in the worst case scenario, it will be divided into many states. But when I'm asking the people, now this is not my opinion, when I'm asking the people in the coastal cities, they say we cannot live any longer with these people, with these savages. This is the terms that they're using. We cannot coexist with them. We've had enough in the past 100 years. That's why we went to the mountains, because we were persecuted by them for a long time. We went to the mountains so we protect ourselves from such attacks. And now they have cars and they have pickup trucks and they're coming after us into these coastal cities. We want our own region. This is what they are telling me. But in my opinion, well, before the regime change, I always used to say federalism could be the worst case scenario for Syria. And now I would say the best case is federalism. At least the country stays together. But is it going to happen? If Jolani doesn't change course, of course, Syria is headed for more bloody conflicts and complete partition of the country.
And what is Turkey's role then, Kevork?
Well, Turkey is the major player in this. The MIT is the main. Let's remember, this type of attack happened in 2013, when from Idlib and from Turkey, they came to Kasab and other northern Latakia towns and villages. They have committed similar crimes, but back then there was a Syrian army and national defense forces, and they pushed them back again. And in 2003, again, the Chechens and the Uzbeks were leading this operation. So this is not the first time they tried to do this type of genocide, because the intention back then existed, and now it also exists. From the Turkish perspective, Turkey will definitely want to extend its influence on the entirety of the coast, because it is rumored that there are also gas in the Mediterranean. And that's why the foreign ministers of Cyprus and Greece were in Damascus, not out of love for Giuliani, but they warned him that Turkey cannot have cannot have access to the gas in the Mediterranean in front of the Syrian shores. And this threatens Cyprus, Greece, and Israel. And in this case, it seems that Russia is the one which has the military capability to establish this line in the coast, right? So that Turkey cannot come to the Mediterranean even further. And Turkish influence stays in Aleppo, Idlib, Homs, Hama, and Damascus. And the south of Damascus, it's Israel, which is creating this buffer and pushback against Turkey. Your volume is
Peter, your microphone.
Your microphone.
Are there any limits to Israel's ambitions in slicing up Syria? Because HTS doesn't seem to have a problem with Israel; it has problems with its own citizens,
and it has problems with Hezbollah, as you saw.
Yes,
provoking.
Yes.
And the funny thing about this attack on Lebanon is that they say they're attacking Hezbollah because they wish that Hezbollah engages in a war with them, but Hezbollah had nothing to do with this confrontation with the HTS. They were the villagers, they were the armed clans, they were smugglers, basically, and we all know that area very well. Those were not Hezbollah fighters, but it's quite clear that he has like a to-do checklist, and in this case, Israel will, when it's revived its conflict in its war in Gaza, this could be extended to Lebanon as well. And Hezbollah could be sandwiched between HTS and Israel. I think that is the end goal. And that's why Hezbollah intervened in Syria in 2012 in Al-Qusayr city, because they saw the patterns of the military patterns and where they are advancing, and why basically they were so determined to occupy Al-Qusayr, which is a major supply chain for Hezbollah. So they intervened to push them away from the Lebanese borders. They delayed it for a decade. But now HTS is coming back. I think their intention is to start a sectarian conflict in the region between the Shias and the Sunnis. And this is mentioned even in the emails of Hillary Clinton, that the fall of Assad will trigger a Shia-Sunni war. And this is not a bad news, and it serves Israel. So if there is anyone from the Sunnis and the Shias are watching, probably they should cool down a little bit their inner conflict, because what they're basically doing, they destroy their own countries. They participated, let's say. And I disagree with the assessment of some people who say we only have to blame the imperialist powers. No, we should immunize our societies from such diseases. It is our duty as citizens and also authorities in the region to immunize the people from such radical ideas which could infiltrate into the society and cause such greater mayhem. Yes, if you are an imperialist power and you find a window to jump in, you will jump in. But if you close this window, they will not be able to jump inside our societies. So everybody paid the price, but most notably the minorities, because they are a minority and they are not armed. Unlike HTS, which has over 40,000 well-trained fighters with good equipment, so it's easy to hunt the people down. It's not a heroism for HTS coming after civilians. Like their entire journey from Aleppo to Damascus, they were driving at 40 kilometers per hour, right? Like it was a big convoy of cars and pickup trucks, and there was no resistance. They didn't do some heroism. during this regime change, and now they're going after the civilians. So it's so absurd, but it is intentional. And Peter knows, and John knows, everybody knows the Armenian genocide. I mean, now that we are seeing it again televised, going from one door to another, humiliate the men, kill them in the streets, leave the kids and the women behind, vulnerable as well. And then in the second phase, they come and they rape them. This is how things happened during the Armenian genocide.
Mother Agnes, is that your understanding as well? Is that your feeling? Kevork is not in Syria. Is that your feeling that the country is fragmenting? It seems obvious that it's fragmenting. In some ways, to us outsiders, it's amazing that it still exists at all as a political entity. But are you able to judge this, Mother Agnes?
I will try, thank you. What we can say is that today Syria is no more a political entity. It is a political entity because the superpower who are tailoring a new reality are working or are acting with it as a political entity. But today Syria is no more a state. It's a geography without doors nor windows, where everybody is acting in a chaotic ways, and where those people who received the power, they received the power following an agenda. They are executing a project, and what is scary is that this project encompasses, it means contains genocide, Alawite genocide. Maybe tomorrow it will be a Christian genocide, after a Kurdish. I was in the Kurdish areas. The Kurdish are waiting for their turn. I mean that this agenda is macabre. It's a Machiavellic agenda. We have never seen it like this, you know. I just want to emphasize that we were in Tartus before a barricade of the security forces, and we topped with a battalion coming back in around 6 o'clock afternoon. So one of the elements of this battalion, you know, spoke to my security leader, He asked them, who are you? So he declined his identity. He is a part of the Free Syrian Army. And he asked, my security asked the other, and you, who are you? He said, we are, he gave a name, I will get it now, Ansar ad-Din. Ansar ad-Din, they are Pakistanis, you see. So the Pakistanis asked my security leader, he told him, from where are you coming? He said, we are coming from Al-Ghab, we passed through Banyas. The reaction of the Pakistani, did you slaughter? You see what? Like this.
Yeah.
You know, with a joyful remark, did you slaughter? So this is in a video. You know, I guarded for a commission of inquiry. I don't know how it will, you know, because there is no more law here. We are in a world with no more, no humanitarian law, no international law. That not only Syria, but even the United Nations, nothing, you know, is standing on.
Well, if I could ask both of you, I mean, what does HTS get out of this? Kevork, I mean, the mother says, you know, there are no doors and there are no windows. What does HTS get out of this? I mean, are they just a surrogate for another project?
And also, what is the plan, Mother Agnes? Because you said there's a plan. Is it to ethnically cleanse Syria and turn it into a Sunni Arab state, a homogenous Sunni Arab state?
I can't say. Kevork has maybe more insight. He is a geopolitical I don't know. It's something so weird, so dark, so unreasonable. There is no reason in this. I don't know. I think it's pure evil. For me, it's pure evil. They are just, maybe we are arriving to a place where those superpower, playing with puppets, they do it like it's a habit, and what is happening is a horror. When you hear children, women, that we are afraid. That's all what they say. We are afraid, So this is the new Syria, 14 years, giving us lessons about democracy, about freedom, paying money for so many groups and subgroups, and most of them, they evaporated, and only remains those takfiris, and then give us like this. We say in French, pied et poings liés, means handcuff.
Bound hand and foot, yeah.
Bound hand, yeah, to those people, and entronize those people as a president, and everybody, will. For me, it's a farce. But it's a matter.
They still do give aid now to the HDS-led government, $5.8 billion for Syria and for the neighboring countries by the EU.
Yes.
And I remember in 2009 and 2010, I studied European affairs in Sciences Po. So they lectured us about the European Union. And I was told that the EU is not only about political and economic integration in the European continent, but also to export the good values of the EU around the world.
No,
right?
It was a project of peace. It was a project.
Yes, that's why they spend billions of dollars per year on other countries, because they want to invest in human rights, women's rights, democracy, and Western values. This is what I was told in the papers. And now when I see what the European Union is spending on in Syria, basically, they're giving us a really farcical picture about the country. Like they send Deutsche Welle. Deutsche Welle is a German public TV. They go to Syria, they meet with their mercenaries from the feminist, for example, movement, and they send this material to Berlin, and they show us on TV that in one corner, in one street somewhere, a few women gathered, and they're speaking about politics, and they show to the people that this is what we are empowering. But on the other hand, other billions are going and funneled into the hands of these jihadi groups, some of which came from the USAID, from the United States. Millions of them covered the salaries of these HTS Nusra officers. So what they say and what they do are completely two different things. And why they're doing these things? Because they're trying to buy leverage in the country. HTS is not an independent actor, so we cannot really answer why HTS is doing this. We have to understand what the backers of HTS want from Syria. Yeah. And when I see Kaya Kallas's or Annalena Baerbock's and all these people say they are looking for an inclusive and stable Syria, I just revert that 180 degrees, not 360 degrees, 180 degrees opposite of what they say for Syria. And the truth could be 99% of the time you could be correct about their intentions. So we are not dealing with honest partners that they're interested in stabilizing Syria, building state institutions, and building a democratic state, because I would benefit from a democratic state in Syria. I myself nowadays, I'm in asylum again because I can't go back to Syria under Jolani. So it's not a democratic rule. And if they were really interested in a democratic rule, at least they could have kept Jolani in the background and let him lead this from the behind scenes. And they would appoint someone more civil figure, for example, secular figure, someone who is doing and acting in a more balanced way, let's say, for the sake of keeping the country united. But once you bring the founder of the Al-Qaeda offshoot to power, you're already sending a signal and a message to the Syrians for those who at least have brains and understand what the West is aiming and planning for the Syrians, then you will know that the country is headed for first social clash, ethnic and religious infighting among the Syrians, and pave the way for the partition of the country. And that is why I'm very pessimistic about the situation, not only in Syria. I'm pessimistic about Lebanon as well, because Syria and Lebanon are not like two different entities. Like it is artificial border between them. And once Syria falls into this type of chaos and, let's say, partition, it will reflect on Lebanon, because once Syria sneezes, Lebanon gets cold. And the Lebanese will be, if Syria goes into sectarian war, Lebanese will fight also a sectarian war. And this will, of course, be the end goal for Hezbollah to intervene in a domestic war against the Sunnis. And this will be the final blow from the Israelis against Hezbollah. So this Syria is not separated from the region. It's all, they're disintegrating the axis of resistance. They have done it already, so they are smashing it now. And the restart of the war in Gaza could be also linked to Syria, because they are talking to the Syrian officials now about sending 2 million Palestinians to Syria. And the Syrian and Jolani, if he wants to legitimize himself in the US, in Trump's administration, he could accept the displacement of the Palestinians to Syria, and he could be seen as a hero who has saved the Palestinians from a genocide. But where will he send the Palestinians? So the rumors say they are going to send them either to Raqqa and Deir Zor and to the east, some of these governorates, and not anywhere close to the borders with Israel. So this acceleration of the conflict or the bombardment of Gaza again, and also the bombing of Yemen, it's all interconnected in the context of the final solution for the Arab-Israeli conflict and kicking the Palestinians out from the Gaza Strip, since the Egyptians and the Jordanians will not accept them. So now they found a place where the leader is very vulnerable. They can kill him in a matter of seconds if they want to. They know his place. And he's looking for legitimacy in the region. So if the Saudis, the Qataris, the Americans, they talk to Jolani, he will accept this project, unlike in Jordan and unlike in Egypt, and he will be portrayed as a hero in the Arab world. They will say he is the savior of the Palestinian people. They will find something to polish his reputation again.
Amazing.
Mother Agnes, what is your reaction? We've just got a few minutes left.
Of course, I respect. It's very reasonable. I say, let us wait and see the drama, how it will display, the tragedy, because it's a tragedy what is, displaying under our eyes. For me, it's of course praying, but also helping those poor people and trying to de-escalate where there are tensions. Yesterday in Banyas, in Jabli, they were telling me they are preparing I don't know who, those people, they are preparing another genocide, and they gave me some proofs. For example, they are telling them, if you don't give us X number of weapons, it means that you are hiding them, and we will come and we will get you. So they are finding more and more pretext to intervene in a very aggressive way. And we hear also those takfiris, they are also sending many letters to the Christians. So we are in a place that is really very much under threat, and without any issue before, without any solution. It is a plan. It is like in Germany, in 1933. You see, les jeux sont faits. What we say in French.
Yeah, the die is cast.
Everything is done. So I hope. I said last day on Russia Today, when I came back and I saw with my eyes the fruits of the genocide and the corpses on the street, I said, please, you have a plan, do it without killing. We are ready. Just tell us, dictate to us what you want. You want partition, you don't want partition. And I said, I really ask for protection. And even I, mentioned Israel. I would say, I would ask the devil, if you want, just stop the bloody genocide, but there is no ear. And today there is no more international community. You have nowhere to knock. That's why all together, at least we can continue to say the truth and contemplate what human brains and heart can invent to bring disaster to humanity.
Yeah, well, we certainly try to say the truth here on the forum, and even however horrible it is to hear. Mother Agnes, Mariam of the Cross, Kevork, Almassian, thank you both very much. It must be very painful to have to talk about all this. It's certainly painful to listen to it, but we're very grateful to you both for giving us your time. And if you're kind enough, we'd be delighted to have you back again, maybe in a month or so, as the situation evolves. Thank you both very much.
It is painful, but we have to tell the truth to the people.
Absolutely.
And not to sell them illusions, because so many people selling them illusions that somehow a resistance will come and will save everything in the region. We have to be honest, we have to be objective about this case, and we have to tell the truth to the people so they know how to act.
And when you know the truth, you're a witness.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Good. Well, we'll try to carry on bearing witness. Thank you both. Thank you all. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
All right. All the best. Bye-bye.